This is the super multi-coated TAKUMAR 20mm f4.5. And it's kicking my ass. Now my goal with this lens was to use it primarily for video, hence the sim modifications you see here: focus gears, lens hood, and declicked aperture. As a video lens, I absolutely love it, especially when paired with a gimbal, but where it's schooling me entirely is when I use it for photography, but I'll get more into that later. Now, two versions of this lens currently exist: the Super TAKUMAR, which was produced between 1968 and 1971, and this one, the Super Multi-Coated TAKUMAR, produced between 1971 and 1975. It's a full-frame lens with an M42 mount and an aperture range between f4.5 and f16. Now, the aperture itself uses 5 very small blades you can barely see unless you've got a macro lens. And it has a 58mm lens diameter. It's got a minimum focusing distance of 20 centimeters and a 90-degree focus throw to infinity focus. Now 20mm on a full frame is wide, giving you a field of view of approximately 94 degrees diagonally and 84 degrees horizontally. Cropped in on an APS-C sensor, that field of view gets reduced to 72 degrees and 62 degrees respectively. Vintage wide-angle lenses are fairly rare, and you pay a bit of a premium for that. Now, online, this lens goes for about $140 to $350 depending on the condition and the dealer. Now, prices are always changing though, so moderate expectations. Where this lens is kicking my ass though really is in photography. The way a 20mm lens distorts and enhances perspective is a real challenge when shooting stills with it. For video, it's a bit easier for me because I can juxtapose other images and use other elements to help tell a story, but that's not the case with photography. And using this lens has proven to be a big learning curve for me. At f4.5, this lens isn't particularly fast, but given the nature of such a wide-angle lens, I don't think it's really designed to be used with a lot of subject-background separation. So the lack of speed isn't really a bad thing. You do get some nice, smooth, out-of-focus background blur when shooting wide open at minimum focusing distance. Now, because the 20mm is so wide on a full-frame sensor, there's going to be some obvious barrel distortion, especially at the edges of the frame. Lightroom actually has a TAKUMAR 28mm auto preset, which corrects the barrel distortion a bit, but you can further modify this and even save it as your own 20mm preset. I feel the color rendition of this lens is fairly neutral, and that's not a bad thing. It's just something I've noticed when shooting with it. There is no exaggerated color. If you got a gray day, the out-of-camera results will be pretty dull. If it's a beautiful bluebird day, the colors are brilliant and spectacular out of the camera. Modern day photo editing gives us so much control over our individual color in our images that I'm totally okay with the color neutrality out of the camera, especially given the type of photography this lens is designed for. Super multi-coating was a big marketing push initiated by PENTAX back in the day, for good reason. It's important to reduce the amount of light that reflects off the lens surface or inside the lens for cleaner image results. Now, because this is such a wide-angle lens, it's much more susceptible to flare because with such a large field of view, the sun is much more likely to enter into the composition. Now, unless you're shooting wide open as well, you're going to get some flaring that mirrors the aperture blade pattern. A lens hood or matte box can help minimize this flaring, and of course, not shooting directly into the sun, unless it's a look you like. Chromatic aberrations. Yes, they're actually quite prominent in certain high contrast conditions, but because of that, they're very easy to get rid of with software. Click. As for the artistic challenge I'm having shooting with this lens, it's definitely not as straightforward as shooting with a longer focal length. Because wide-angle lenses capture so much information in a single frame, it can be hard to create a visual impact. Things quickly become too busy and the subjects lose their significance. It is a welcome challenge, however. I personally enjoy learning new things, and with wide-angle photography, there's definitely a lot I feel I need to learn. Chris Davey had a few nice shots on his Instagram feed he captured with this lens that I think do a good job of showing how to effectively utilize a wide-angle lens. All in all, the super multi-coated Takumar 20mm f4.5 is a fantastic wide-angle lens option for those in the market. If you've got some great wide-angle photography examples, tag me over on Instagram. I'd love to see some of these creative ways you guys use this lens. Alright guys, well that's it for this review. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.